We've got a rivalry matchup for you tonight at Olympus High School. The Olympus Titans will look to avenge an early season 30-point loss against the Brighton Bengals, who are putting together a really good region play record. Both of these teams are coming off of dominant wins over the Highland Rams, so we shall see how the momentum affects both teams tonight. This is Olympus Girls Basketball on OlyTV. I'm Lucas Pierce, back tonight with
Miles Pierce.
And let's get into the storylines for tonight's game. In the first matchup between these two rivals, Olympus was very outmatched and dominated throughout the entire game. The main reason why Olympus didn't find much success was because the Bengals were one of the few teams who have been able to slow down Joss Baker. While averaging nearly 21 points per game, she was held to 11 that night, and it proved quite costly for the Titans, who weren't able to stop Brighton's best, Olivia Stevens and Sophie Nielsen. So how do the Titans find success tonight? They need to find some players outside of Joss Baker to find it on the offensive side. It has been a common theme all season for the Titans, where it really is just Joss Baker and small contributions from others. Olympus needs some more players to step up because Joss Baker can't do it all by herself, and if she has an off night, the Titans can't expect to put up 36 points again and win. Tessa Cromar and Claire Hazen are candidates for the Titans to step up. Now let's take a deeper dive into their opponent tonight, the Brighton Bengals. Brighton has been very consistent throughout region play, which has led to a 7-2 record and second place in 5A Region 6. Their only losses have come against West, who is currently ranked number 1 in 5A right now and is undefeated on the year. The secret to their success really is their defense, which is holding opponents to 44 points per game, a stellar mark compared to Olympus's. The offenses have been very even, so tonight's matchup will come down to the defense, and the Bengals have the upper hand. That is not to diminish the fact that Brighton can also be lethal on the offensive side. The Bengals have Olivia Stevens and Sophia Nielsen averaging 14 points per game, Lucy Chin averaging 10.5, and Ruth Larson averaging around 7 points per game. So really the big thing for Brighton is that they have scores all around the court, which means if one of them has an off night, it is still likely that the others will step up and make up for it. Now let's head over to the keys to the game with Miles.
Thank you, Lucas. Starting with Olympus, on the offensive side, they have to continue their momentum from last game. After a deflating loss against West, the Titans bounced back well with a blowout of their own against Highland. Joss Baker leads the way once again tonight, who is by far the best player on the court, averaging about 20 points per game, and she's crucial to the success of Olympus and if the Titans want to come out on top. Defensively, the Titans need to force the turnovers. The Bengals turn the ball over around 12 times a game, and if the Titans are able to force Brighton into making those mistakes, they'll make the game a lot closer, with both teams being competitive on both sides of the ball. Now for Brighton, they need their three best players to perform. Olivia Stevens, Sophie Nelson, both averaging 14 points per game, and Lucy Chin with 10 points a game. The Brighton offense is really difficult to contain when all three of them are shooting the ball well, and they are essential to the Bengals. On the defensive side, the Bengals need to do what they did last time when these two teams faced off. That is limiting Joss Baker involvement. Last time they played, Brighton held Baker to just 11 points, which is low for her standards, in a 30-point win. So tonight, they are going to need that defense once again to repeat what they did 3 weeks ago.
Thank you, Miles. And now we're going to step aside for a second for the national anthem. We'll be back with starting lineups.
Outstanding athletic trainer Mike Everett, who is dedicated to keeping our student athletes at their best. Thank you, Mike, and Intermountain, for your unwavering support. And now, at this time, we ask that you stand and able and join us in honoring America and those who protected with the presentation of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars Thank you, fan.
And now let's get into the starting lineups for tonight's game. For Brighton, it will be number 2, Olivia Stevens, the junior guard, who's 5'7". She's averaging 14 points per game, as mentioned earlier. Number 4, Sophie Nielsen, the junior forward, who is 5'9". She's averaging 14 points a game as well, along with 8.6 rebounds per game. Number 15, Ruth Larson, the senior point guard, averaging 7.4 points per game and 4.3 rebounds per game. Number 21, Lucy Chin, the senior guard, who's 5'6". She's averaging 10.5 points per game. And then number 34, Charlotte O'Neill, the senior center/forward, who's 5'11". She has 39 points, 40 rebounds, and 8 assists on the year. The Brighton Bengals are led by head coach Kate Stokes. They're second in the region and number 8 in the RPI right now, so they need all the wins they can get to secure that first round bye in the playoffs. And now let's get into the starting lineups for your Olympus Titans. It'll be number 3, Cami Bontempo, who's back from injury. The junior is averaging 6.3 points per game. Number 5, Joss Baker, the senior forward/shooting guard for the Titans. She's 5'10". She's averaging 20.8 points per game this year. In last game against Highland, she had 28 points and 10 rebounds. Number 15, Claire Hazen, the senior forward. She is averaging 7.4 points per game and has 33 rebounds on the year. Number 23, Tessa Cromar, the senior guard, who's 5'6". She's averaging 8.2 points per game and 3.5 rebounds per game, along with 46 assists on the year. And then number 24, Maddie Shimoda, the junior guard. She's averaging 3.5 points per game, and she has 28 points on the year. The Olympus Titans are led by head coach Whitney Hunsaker. They are 4th in region right now with a 4-4 record and 14th in the RPI meeting. As of now, they would host a first-round home game and then go on the road in the second round if that were to hold. So it should be, we hope it's a good one tonight between these two teams. It is a rivalry game, and Olympus is out for revenge.
Yeah, as you said, this is a rivalry game, and both schools really don't like each other. So it'll be interesting to see which team comes out on fire early, if it's Olympus coming out looking for revenge, or the Bengals just killing all hope for Olympus, just like last time.
The boys team is also playing at Brighton. That should be a good one in a crazy atmosphere. As it is the last time before the playoffs these two will face. The tip is up, and nobody won the tip. I guess we'll do it again.
Looks like just both of them jumped too early, and then they kind of ran into each other. O'Neill tips it out to Stevens, and we're underway in this one. Stevens is guarded by Cromar. She's leading the offense for the Bengals. She passes it to O'Neill, and she finds a cutting Stevens. Stevens passes it back out, and that's a deep 3 by O'Neill. It's no good, but the rebound, Brighton does get the offensive rebound. Stevens is now looking to drive. She thought about the mid-range, is going to put it up, and it is good. Looks like Olympus had locked down Brighton on that first offensive possession, but it's just the constant rebounds and Olympus not being able to force a turnover.
It is stolen away from Cami Bontempo, and Brighton is running up the court. It's Stevens. She's trying to get around Cromar. She is able to. Nice shot by Stevens, put the Brighton up by 4.
Now, if you're Olympus, you got to kind of regroup. You had the turnover and then the 2 early buckets for Brighton, so now you got to score some points of your own.
It's Shimoda. She drives in. Her floater is up, and it is good. Olympus is on the board. It's Olivia Stevens. She passes it, and Brighton is passing it around. Stevens is going to shoot the deep 3. That one is no good. Rebound by Tessa Cromar.
Seems like Brighton's being aggressive early from behind the 3-point line.
Shimoda is going to lay it up and in on the fast break. Great pass by Cromar, and we're tied.
Excellent response by the Titans. They get down 4 points early. They just responded great with 4 points.
It's Chin, she passes it out to Stevens. Stevens looking to drive, then she passes it back out to the perimeter. Nielsen thought about the three, now she's moving into the paint. Stevens' layup is no good, and that'll be off of Brighton, off of Sophie Nielsen, and Olympus gets the ball back.
Early on in this game, Brighton was like running the court with that long offensive possession to start the game, but as of recently in the last few possessions, Olympus is starting to fight back.
And it's Baker bringing it up the floor. Olympus needs to do a good job of this one and staying in it through the first quarter of this game. When they played at Brighton, it was Brighton got out to an early 12-point lead and really didn't look back. We have our first foul tonight on Lucy Chin, and Cami Bontempo is at the line. First one for Bontempo is up. It is good.
As you said, it's important for Olympus to play close because in the last game, they really didn't have a chance from the beginning to come back, getting down by a significant amount early on. So if they're able to play it close, they have a chance to pull off the upset.
Bontempo's going to attempt the second free throw at this trip to the line, and that one is good. So Olympus answers Brighton's 4-0 start with a 6-0 run, and we'll see if they can continue that on the defensive side. It's Ruth Larson. She passes it to O'Neal. O'Neal's guarded by Bontempo, and the Bengals get it back to Larson. And that is stolen away. Great defense by Shimoda and Cromar. The Titans are moving fast. Cromar is going to pass it to Shimoda and back to Cromar. Cromar is driving. Her shot is up and it is no good. Now it's Brighton who has numbers. They're going to pass it up to Lucy Chin, and it is out of bounds off of Brighton.
Looked like Brighton had that possession set up for them. They just could not haul in the pass.
And Brighton had numbers on that. If they were able to complete the pass, there might have been, it could have led to points for Brighton. Cromar passes it to Hazen, and now into Bontempo. Bontempo's shot is blocked by O'Neal, and the rebound by Nielsen. Now it's Nielsen bringing up the floor quickly. She gets it to Chin, and she's driving. Chin is blocked by Baker, so a block on each side of the court for both teams. And Brighton gets the ball out of bounds.
Now on this possession, Brighton has to get back to scoring. You don't want Olympus to gain too much momentum to a point where they can start to pull away.
Chin finds Nielsen. Her shot is no good, and it's Baker who comes down with the rebound. Now she's looking to move quickly and is driving through Brighton defenders. Her layup is no good. O'Neal with the rebound. Brighton finds Nielsen. This layup is good, and so Brighton finally ties it after a few offensive possessions where they couldn't get the ball in the hoop.
Yeah, this is their first possession scoring since they got up 4-0, and it's a great sign that they are showing that they are still able to score despite the 6-0 run.
Bontempo finds Hazen. That one is no good. And we're going to have our first jump ball. No, we're going to have a foul on Cami Bontempo, I believe. Surprising. I thought they were going to call it jump ball, but it ends up being a foul.
I agree. It seemed like both of the players just had their arms around the ball. I'm not really sure why there was a foul called in the first place.
But the game moves on, and Stevens brings it up the floor. Along with averaging 14 points per game, she averages 5 rebounds a game as well. Her shot is up. That one is no good. And that is a foul on Charlotte O'Neal. So the Titans will regain possession.
This isn't the first time in this game that we've seen Brighton pull up from well beyond the three-point line. And that might just be what their game plan has been early on in this game.
It is interesting to see them pulling up from deep from three. You don't see that very often. Now it's Cromar. She's guarded by Larson. Bontempo loses control of the ball, regains control of the ball, and it rolls in the hoop. And the Titans are up to 8 points.
Tough break for Brighton. They had a chance to force the turnover and switch the momentum, but just great play by Olympus to get the bucket.
Larson guarded by Cromar. She's looking to move around and send passes to O'Neal. O'Neal finds Stevens, and Stevens tries to drive around Shimoda and isn't able to. Now it's O'Neal who passes it to Nielsen. This three is up. It's no good. O'Neal is going to put up the layup off of the offensive rebounds, and it goes in.
If I'm Brighton, you need to stop shooting the deep threes because you have a threat in O'Neal underneath the basket.
And Hazen loses control of the ball, but it will be off of Nielsen, who attempted to dive for it. And Cromar will be inbounding at the Titans' end on the baseline. They get it into Hazen. This two is up. That is an air ball. Cromar gets the rebound, though. Titans reset a little bit. They're trying to get Baker her first points tonight. They instead pass it out to Cromar. That three is up, and it is good. First three of the night for Tessa Cromar and the Titans.
As you said, with the storylines, Olympus needs to get more players involved, and that's a great sign from Tessa Cromar with the three.
When she is on, she can hit it from anywhere on the court. As that three by Olivia Stevens is good. The Bengals make their first three of the night. That was a deep one.
And you saw that early on. That seemed to be their game plan, and it finally worked out.
Baker's going to shoot the mid-range. It does not bounce in. Larson comes down with the rebound and passes it to Stevens. Now it's Chin who's going to shoot the three. That one is no good. Off to the right, but Brighton gets the offensive rebound. Now Nielsen moves around the screen. She finds Chin. This three is up. This one is no good. But Brighton once again gets the rebound. It's Larson. Shot by Larson is no good, and Bontempo gets the rebound.
Seems like Brighton's first priority is shooting the three-point ball right now, which I don't really understand. They have threats underneath the basket.
That shot is no good. And now Brighton's going to pass it to Lucy Chin, who loses control of the ball, and it will be the Titans' ball once again. That's an unfortunate break for Brighton.
Yeah, and that's the second time that this has happened this game. This time, they just couldn't haul it in. After a great pass, it just hit her hands and she couldn't catch it. But in the other one, it was just an overthrow. But two really bad breaks for them.
Yep. Cromar passes it, or she tried to get it to Eliza Johnson, who just checked into the game. Looked like there was some miscommunication. So the teams trade turnovers as number 14, Kira Pittman, comes in for the Bengals. And we have our first timeout of the night.
So early on in this first quarter, it just seems like both teams are answering each other. Brighton went up 4-0, and the Titans answer back with 6 straight points of their own. Olympus makes a three, Brighton makes a three. So it just seems like both teams are matching what each other are doing. And if that continues at this pace, the game will be a great one.
And interesting timeout for Coach Whitney Hunsaker. She hasn't been happy with what the Titans have been doing. She's been frustrated with the amount of turnovers they're committing. But along with that, Brighton is committing turnovers of their own.
Just a back and forth game early on so far.
Inbounding for the Bengals will be Sophie Nielsen. And she gets it to Stevens, and she brings it up the floor slowly. O'Neal guarded tightly by Bontempo, and that was nearly stolen away, but the Bengals regained possession. Now it's Pittman who's going underneath to O'Neal. That shot is no good, but a foul is committed, so O'Neal will be headed to the line.
Even though she didn't make the shot, she was still able to draw the foul. But Brighton has had some success passing the ball to Charlotte O'Neal underneath the basket. And I think if they go away from the heavy three-point shooting, they're able to get more points underneath the hoop.
First one is up and good by O'Neal. O'Neal is the tallest player on the floor tonight, so just by a little bit over Josh Baker and Kira Pittman. So there is just a little bit of a height advantage for her as she makes the second free throw. Shimoda finds Johnson. This three is up. It's no good. Pittman comes down with the rebound. It's Stevens. She tries to go underneath with Nielsen. The shot is no good. And Bontempo comes down with the ball for the Titans. And now she's racing it up the floor. It's swatted away by Stevens. Baker controls. Her layup is good.
Great job by Joss Baker. She can just drive to the hoop whenever she wants to. And looking on the Olympus defense, they've done a pretty good job so far in this game at limiting the offensive production from Brighton.
It's Kira Pittman guarded by Cromar. She gets it to Stevens. Stevens is going to shoot the mid-range jumper. That one is no good. The Titans have 9 seconds. It's Joss Baker moving up the floor. She's going to pull up from 3, and it's no good. Shimoda nearly commits the foul at the end of that quarter, but the refs do not call it. We're going to go into the second quarter with a tie at 13. What are your thoughts from that first half?
Well, going into this game, I believe that whichever team started out quicker was going to win this game, but it just seems like so far these teams are really evenly matched at the moment. One team scores, the other team scores. So both teams being that good at answering back is really important in this game so that you don't get down by a significant deficit.
And this is a good sign for the Titans because Joss Baker only has 2 points and they're tied with Brighton right now. So if they can get Joss Baker going, that could lead them on the path to an upset tonight.
And as you said, if Joss, in your storylines, if Joss Baker has an off night, other players are going to need to step up. And so far, we've seen that Olympus is able to do that.
It's been Tessa Cromar, Maddie Shimoda, and Cami Bontempo really leading the way for the Titans early in this one. I think if one thing that led to this game being tied at the end of the first quarter was the amount of turnovers Brighton had early in this one, especially on their fast break opportunities.
And that's what Olympus had to do. They had to force Brighton to make those mistakes in order to score some points of their own.
It'll be Cromar inbounding at midcourt, and Shimoda brings it up the floor. Cromar has the ball now. She's going underneath with Baker, who's double teamed. Now triple teamed. Somehow she gets around it, but her shot is no good. She goes tumbling to the ground, and it's Nielsen running up the floor for Brighton. She's going to try and get around the Olympus defenders, but she isn't able to. Now she brings it up past the perimeter. She finds O'Neal. That shot is up and no good. It went off the front of the rim. That one goes off the front of the rim too, and Bontempo gets the rebound.
So going back to what I said about generating points from Charlotte O'Neal underneath the basket as opposed to the three-point shooting, if you're not going to shoot the three ball so much, you're going to have to start scoring some points by driving to the hoop.
Shimoda's open from 3. That one doesn't go in. Bounces around the rim. Bontempo's reverse layup is no good. A third chance for the Titans as Shimoda finds Bontempo. Baker's mid-range jumper is no good, but they come down with the rebound once again. Now it's Eliza Johnson who's going to shoot the 3. It's no good, and Stevens comes down with the rebound. Rough possession.
Olympus had so many opportunities to score, and they just could not. It seemed like there was a lid on the hoop. They just could not score on that possession.
And that is an errant pass by Olivia Stevens. So the Titans get the ball right back.
Really sloppy play in the second quarter so far. Both teams are just turning the ball over and are unable to score.
Shimoda's guarded by Ruth Larson. She finds Johnson. Now they're going to go underneath with Baker, who's looking to get going, but they're going to call an offensive foul, which is drawn by Sophie Nielsen.
Seems like neither team wants to score. In this second quarter, neither team has scored, so either one of these offenses has to find some sort of production.
Baker just tried to get a little too aggressive right there, maybe a little frustration not being able to score too much. Stevens finds Larson, and Larson to Nielsen. Baker Larson's going to shoot the three. That one is no good, and Baker comes down with the rebound. Now Baker finds Cromar. The pass was a little behind her, and the Titans end up turning the ball over. It is Stevens bringing it up the floor now. She tries to get around Eliza Johnson. She finds Lucy Chin. Lucy Chin finds Ruth Larson. She's open from three, and that one is good. We have our first points of the second quarter with a Brighton three.
After those many missed attempts from the three-point line, it's finally paid off that they're shooting so many. Their first of the second quarter.
Bontempo finds Baker. Baker's driving. That shot is blocked by O'Neal. She has not been able to solve this Brighton defense this season, really. Chin finds O'Neal. O'Neal's going to shoot the mid-range shot. It's no good, but Brighton gets the rebound. And then it's stolen away by Cami Bontempo.
Going back to the Brighton defense, Charlotte O'Neal, as you said, is the tallest player on the court. And she's already had 2 blocks tonight, so Olympus needs to find some sort of answer to generate points by avoiding her.
Shimoda finds Cromar, and Cromar nearly has it stolen away. Baker comes down with it now. Baker's trying to go around Nielsen. Her spin and jumper is good, and she's up to 4 points now.
It was only a matter of time when Joss Baker was finally going to get involved in the scoring. And now after that, she might be able to generate some more.
That's a steal by Tessa Cromar. Can she put the layup through the hoop? Yes, she can. The Titans have a 17-16 lead.
Forcing these turnovers is so big because Olympus is able to score off of them. It can be a close game.
O'Neal's driving to the basket. She's double teamed. She passes it back out to Larson, and now it's Stevens. Stevens looking to drive. The mid-range is no good. And Shimoda should have had that rebound, wasn't able to come down with it, though. Now it's Nielsen. She thought about the three. Instead passes it to Chin. Chin is going to shoot the deep three, and that one is no good. Out of bounds off of Brighton. And now Grace Schwartz is checking in for the Titans. For Maddie Shimoda, coming in for Brighton is number 24, Hazel Smith.
For the Bengals, number 23, Cassidy.
In this game,
excuse me, number 23, Cassidy Mulholland.
In this game, the Olympus defense has done a great job at keeping them in it. They're forcing the turnovers, and aside from the offensive rebounds that they're allowing Brighton to get, they've played a pretty clean game.
And so midway through this second quarter, we have a surprisingly close game. The Titans have a 1-point lead, and they're hanging in there tonight. They're doing the opposite of what happened at Brighton, where they got down early and weren't able to really claw back at all. In this one, they're staying even with Brighton.
And that's why it's so important that you play the game close, especially in the first half. Because when you go into halftime with some sort of momentum, then you're able to translate that into huge offensive strides in the second half.
Johnson inbounds to Schwartz, and she brings it up the floor slowly. Schwartz is guarded by Chin. She passes it to Johnson. Johnson looking to drive around Stevens, isn't able to. Cross-court pass to Baker. That three is no good. And Stevens loses control of the ball, but the Titans weren't able to steal it away. And Brighton resets on offense. It's Nielsen who's guarded by Baker. She looks a little confused. They're trying to go inside to Lucy Chin. That shot is no good, and Stevens comes down with the rebound. A little bit of a push-off right there, not called by the refs. Hunsaker is not happy about it. Now Baker has it dribbled off the foot of Lucy Chin, and the Titans will retain possession.
Now we're going to see what sort of adjustments Brighton has made on the defensive side. Really, as of lately, the Olympus offense has been great at scoring, and Brighton needs to find some way to slow them down if they're not scoring points.
Baker trying to go around O'Neal. That shot is good off of the backboard. So Baker's trying to get going a little bit.
And in that first quarter, Brighton did a great job of containing her. But in the second quarter, they just haven't done that. which is forcing Olympus to score more points.
Larson to Mulholland, and then the deep three by O'Neal is no good. Way off, and Johnson's bringing it up the floor. O'Neal's giving Baker some space at the three-point line. She doesn't pull up for three, though. She's going to shoot the step-back jumper, and that one is good. The Titans are out to a 21-16 lead, and they're on an 8-0 run.
Brighton's got to generate some sort of offense. If Joss Baker is playing to her potential, then it's going to be hard to beat her. So they need to find some sort of answer on the offensive side.
Stevens thought about the mid-range jumper. She does end up putting it up, and Baker gets the rebound. Let's see if the Titans can extend their 8-0 run. It's been a big second quarter for them, especially on the defensive side. Baker trying to go around O'Neal. A lot of contact, but no foul is called. And now the Brighton has a 2-on-1. Larson finds Chin. That layup is good. Some much-needed points for Brighton.
That's the first of these breakaways that Brighton was able to score on the possession. You had the overthrown pass and then the dropped ball earlier in the game. And so it's good for Brighton to finally score some points on that.
Baker finds Bontempo. She thought about the three, doesn't take it. Now it's going to be Baker who shoots the three, and that one is good. Joss Baker is on fire this second quarter. She is up to 11 points.
It was only inevitable when she was going to make her presence felt in this game, and Brighton just has no answer for it.
O'Neal finds Stevens, but it is tipped away by Eliza Johnson as Tessa Cromar and Maddie Shimoda check in for Johnson and Bontempo.
Returning for the Bengals, number 4, Sophie Nielsen.
Sophie Nielsen also comes back into the game for the Bengals. The inbounds passes to Chin. Nielsen thought about the three. Instead, she drives. She isn't able to get around Baker, and she comes down with the rebound. And they're going to call a foul on Charlotte O'Neal.
If you're Brighton, you need to find some sort of answer on defense. Joss Baker is just too good of a player to just let her score the points. And she's the biggest threat for in this game. So they need to find some way to contain her and force the pressure on the rest of Olympus.
Shimoda passes it to Baker. Baker motions for Schwartz to come across, but she holds the ball, and then a miscommunication with Shimoda. Baker is not happy about that, and Brighton will have the opportunity for the last shot of this second quarter.
Now for Brighton, it's important that you gain momentum going into halftime. You've had a rough second quarter thanks to the Olympus defense, and you have to find some sort of hope to stay in this game because Olympus is showing no signs of stopping on offense.
Stevens to O'Neal, who's guarded by Baker. They're going to try and go underneath with Nielsen. She isn't able to get around Cromar, and she comes down with the rebound. So now the Titans will have an opportunity to hold for the last shot of the half. They find Schwartz underneath. She passes it to Baker. She's going to pull up from three, and that one is good. Joss Baker goes crazy in the second quarter as the full court shot is no good by Chin. And what a second quarter by the Titans, as they're going to go into halftime with a 9-point lead, 27-18.
It's really incredible. The game was tied 13-13, and you held Brighton to 5 points in the second quarter. Thanks to that Olympus defense, Brighton wasn't able to generate any offense whatsoever. And for Olympus, it's so important that Joss Baker is clicking on offense because she's your biggest weapon, and the team is at its best when she's performing.
So we are going to go into halftime. Once again, the score is 27-18 Titans. Stay tuned because we might have an upset brewing tonight.
team. Unofficial scoring for that first half. First for Brighton. Olivia Stevens with 7 points. Sophie Nielsen with 2. Ruth Larson with 3 points. Lucy Chin, 2 points. And Charlotte O'Neill with 4 points. For your Titans, Cami Bontempo, 4 points. And Joss Baker with 14. Tessa Crowbar with 5. And Maddie Shimoda, 4 points.
Welcome back to Olympus High School, where the Olympus Titans are looking to upset the Brighton Bengals, and they have a good chance to do it. They come in to start the second half with a 9-point lead. I'm Lucas Pierce.
And I'm Miles Pierce.
We have a good one on our hands tonight.
In these rivalry games, you never really know what you're going to get. You saw last time with the Brighton blowout, and now Olympus is showing some sort of fight, and we'll see if they can hang on tonight.
Stevens is going to pull up from 3. That one is no good, but Nielsen comes down with the rebound. Now she goes around Bontempo. Wacky shot is no good, and we're going to have our first jump ball of the night, which will go to Olympus.
Seems like Brighton didn't really make those halftime adjustments. Their game plan still early on is just to shoot the 3 first and then get rebounds and drive to the basket. So I think they need to change that if they want to score more points.
Shimoda guarded by Nielsen. She passes it to Hazen, and now they try to go inside to Bontempo, but it is no good. But the pass is stolen away. Nielsen bringing it up the floor for the Bengals, and it's Larson, who is blocked from behind by Tessa Cromar. Baker finds Shimoda. She finds Hazen. The 2 is up and good by Claire Hazen. Those are her first 2 points of the night, and the Titans extend their lead.
With the Olympus offense clicking, with everyone really clicking on the Olympus offense, Brighton has to find some way to answer and to slow down the Olympus offense.
Charlotte O'Neill goes around Bontempo, but her layup is no good, and Shimoda comes down with the rebound. The Titans are currently on a 16-5 run, and Hazen's 2 is no good this time. Larson with the rebound. Stevens slows it down for Brighton on offense. She finds Lucy Chin, and they tried to go inside to Charlotte O'Neill, but another miscommunication, another turnover, and it will be Olympus ball.
One of my keys to the game for Olympus was to force Brighton into turning the ball over and making those mistakes. And in this game, Brighton has done that, and you see the score. Olympus has capitalized on some of those turnovers, which is really helpful.
And so head coach of the Bengals, Kate Stokes, calls a timeout as they need to reset. They've come out of halftime a little sluggish. And, I mean, Olympus is currently on a 16-5 run, as I mentioned earlier. It's pretty incredible what they've been able to do.
Definitely. The score was tied 13-13 after that first quarter, and it seemed like we were in for a really close game. But since then, Olympus has kind of broken the door open, and if Brighton doesn't fix their mistakes soon, then this game could get out of hand.
This would be quite the win for the Titans, who are trying to find some momentum, some consistency in region play. They're 4-4 right now. Brighton is currently 7-2. They haven't lost to anyone in 5A Region 6 not named West. Their 2 losses came against West and at West, so it would be quite the feat for the Titans to knock off the Bengals. Shimoda has it stolen away by Nielsen on that offensive possession, and then a foul is committed as she was running up the floor.
It's really important for Brighton to score on this possession especially, because the Olympus offense has done an excellent job in the second and third quarter, so they need to find an answer.
O'Neill passes to Stevens. Stevens passes it back out, and it'll be Nielsen at the line now after she is fouled on her layup attempt.
Getting these opportunities to shoot the free throws is very important, because these are free points on the court. If you're able to make your free throws, it could be huge later on in the game.
First one is up, and it is no good. Rolls in and out.
As I said, these are kind of free points, and if they cannot make them, it could come back to bite them.
Second one is up, and that one is good. So now Brighton is down by 10 points, and they'll attempt to start to claw back a little bit. Shimoda passes it to Hazen, and then inside to Bontempo. Bontempo's spin around jumper is no good, and it's Larson who comes down with the rebound, but they're going to call a travel on Larson.
Brighton seemed to have had an answer on the defensive side, but those mistakes and the turnovers are killer for the Bengals right now.
Cromar looking to inbound. She tried to get it to Hazen, but has it stolen away by Nielsen. Nielsen passes it up to Chin. They pass it back to Nielsen. Nielsen's shot is no good, but the refs are going to call another foul on the Titans, and Nielsen will get another trip to the line.
Once again, the Bengals are getting the opportunities to make their free throws. They just haven't shown that they can, and they are very important, especially maybe later on in this game.
First one is up. It is good. Nielsen has 4 points on the night right now. She's going to look to make it 5 right here. Second one is up. It is good. So she is up to 5 points. And Brighton is slowly cutting into the lead. Olympus doing what they did not want to do and giving the Bengals free opportunities for points.
Because you know that this Brighton team is able to come back from deficits like this. You just didn't want to give them that momentum and the hope that they can.
Cromar finds Shimoda, who finds Hazen. This 3 is up. That one is no good. O'Neal with the rebound for the Bengals, and now she brings it up the floor.
Seems like Brighton's starting to gain some momentum, which is very important considering how they looked last half.
O'Neal's going to shoot the deep 3. That one is no good. Baker gets the rebound. That would have been a big shot for Charlotte O'Neal, but it goes off the back of the rim.
That would have been a massive shot, and the fact that Brighton has clawed their way back in this game is really incredible because you get down by 11 points, and now you're putting up this amount of fight after this Olympus team looked really great in that second quarter.
The pass is tipped and stolen away by Nielsen. She throws it up to Larson. Larson then has her pass to Nielsen tipped. It gets to Nielsen anyway. Larson's going to shoot an open 3. That one goes off the back of the rim as well, and Baker goes down as she is fouled by O'Neal. That is O'Neal's second foul of the game. Nobody in real foul trouble yet.
This is now the second straight offensive possession for Brighton where they get the open 3 look. They just aren't able to hit it.
Eliza Johnson checks in for Maddie Shimoda for the Titans. Brighton parents starting to urge on the defense a little bit as Baker pulls up and makes the long 2.
The Brighton defense in this third quarter, it slowed down the Olympus offense, but they can only buy you so much time if your offense isn't able to score because you know that the Olympus is going to score.
Larson passes it to Chin. She's going to get around Bon Tempo, lay it up and in. Great move by Chin.
Now the Brighton defense has to do, they have to stop this Olympus offense, and then they need to score points of their own. Just keep clawing away at that deficit.
Cromar finds Johnson. She's open from 3. That one does not bounce in, but Hazen nearly rips it away, and they're going to call a jump ball.
Jump ball. Alternate possession belongs to Brighton.
So Brighton will get the ball just under the midway mark of this third quarter where the Titans have an 8-point lead. Chin guarded tightly by Hazen. She finds Nielsen from the mid-range, for a mid-range jumper. That one is no good, and they're going to call a foul on Cami Bontempo. Excuse me, no, they're going to call a foul on Olivia Stevens on the rebound. So it'll be the Titans with the ball instead of the Bengals.
Just seems like the Brighton offense isn't able to cut the deficit to a point where they're sure that they're able to come back from, which isn't great because if you're able to score the points, then it gives your team so much more momentum, which is key.
That pass is nearly stolen away by Ruth Larson. Instead, it's just tipped out of bounds, and the Titans will have an opportunity to inbound and reset on the offensive side. It'll be Johnson inbounding right by the Olympus bench as Kira Pittman comes in for Ruth Larson. Cromar passes it to Johnson, and Johnson goes to Bontempo. They find Hazen, who was cutting to the basket, and now Bontempo pulls up from the free throw line and was no good. It was O'Neal who came down with the rebound.
Great full court press by Olympus.
Now it's Nielsen guarded by Bontempo. She finds Stevens, who created some separation from Baker, and now she's driving. Her floater is up, and that one is good. So Brighton is clawing back into this one. The lead for the Titans is now 6.
Brighton's got it within 6, and now if you're Olympus, you have to have the thought that you need to score some more points. Your lead is not safe anymore, and if you don't score, then Brighton is just going to keep cutting that deficit.
Maddie Shimoda comes in for Claire Hazen, and she gets the ball immediately off of the inbounds pass. She passes it to Cromar, and now to Johnson. Johnson finds a cutting Bontempo, but that shot is swatted away by Kira Pittman. Nielsen with the spin move on Shimoda. She's going to lay it up and in, plus the foul. Brighton has come back in this one, and now the deficit is only 4.
You knew what this Brighton offense was capable of. They just hadn't shown it in this game. And in this second half, they have shown that they're able to come back from deficits like this. And if you're Olympus, you have to have some sense of urgency to score some more points.
Things really shifted when, after head coach Kate Stokes called that timeout early in the second half. It kind of reset the Bengals before the situation could get any worse. Baker trying to get around Stevens. She's double teamed. Shimoda's going to put up a 3. That 3 is no good, but Johnson comes down with the rebound, and she passes it to Bontempo. But it is stolen away by Lucy Chin, and now it's Stevens running up the floor. She's going to go around Shimoda, and her shot is no good, but she got fouled, so she'll be headed to the free throw line.
Brighton has done an excellent job at maintaining the pace of their offense. They've just consistently been scoring over the past few minutes, and now they're getting more chances at the free throw line.
In many different ways, too, as Stevens misses the first free throw. Grace Schwartz checking into the game for Maddie Shimoda now, who is in foul trouble. She has 4 fouls. Second one by Stevens is good, and we have a 2-point game here at Olympus High School. It's Cromar trying to get around Lucy Chin. The Titans need some kind of spark on offense. Schwartz is going to put up a 3. That one rolls in and out. O'Neal with the rebound. Now it's Stevens. She passes it to Nielsen. Nielsen is going to find Lucy Chin, who is open from 3 for a second. Her layup is no good. O'Neal with the rebound. O'Neal's shot is no good, but Pittman comes down with the rebound. Now it's Chin to Stevens. This 3 is up. This 3 is an air ball, and it will go out of bounds off of Brighton. So a real missed opportunity by the Bengals.
Brighton had many opportunities on the offensive possession, and every time you feel like that they're going to make a shot and cut the deficit to 2 or tie the game or even take the lead, they just weren't able to.
Johnson thought about the 3 instead, doesn't take it. Bontempo's going to take the 3, isn't able to bank it in. Now Baker gets the rebound, and the Titans have a new opportunity on offense. Baker nearly loses control of the ball, and now she picks up her dribble. She finds Eliza Johnson, and the Titans find Schwartz now. Schwartz is driving. She passes it back out to Baker. It's interesting she didn't go for the layup right there. Johnson finds Schwartz. She's going to shoot the 3. That one rolls in and out once again. 2 in a row like that for Grace Schwartz, and now Brighton will have an opportunity for the last shot. The layup is blocked by Baker. The deep shot by Bontempo is no good. So the Bengals have come back into this one. They've cut the deficit from 11 to 2, but the Titans still do have the lead, 31-29.
So this is exactly what Olympus could not do. They couldn't let a team like Brighton stay in this game and be able to come back to make this a game. And if you're Olympus, you need to start having some sort of urgency on offense. If you're not scoring, then you're just going to let Brighton take the lead and maybe even have a significant lead. So Olympus needs to score on offense.
And towards the end of that quarter, it was really some unfortunate possessions for Grace Schwartz, who put up good shots from three. They just rolled in and out. The Titans need more shots like that.
And it would have been so huge if she was able to make those, because then you're looking at a 5-point, 4-point game right now, and it's a completely different story, especially with the way that the Brighton offense is playing.
As the start of the fourth quarter will be Titan basketball.
We do have a good game for you, though. The Brighton Bengals are on upset watch in this rivalry game. Something you didn't think you'd see after Olympus lost by 30 at Brighton earlier this year.
And as I said earlier, you never really know what to expect with these rivalry games. You can see huge upsets, or you can see huge blowouts, and we might have an upset tonight.
Cromar inbounds to Schwartz, and she brings it across the halfway mark. Baker passes it to Johnson. Johnson was open from three. Instead, she puts up the long two. It is no good. Bontempo isn't able to save it for the Titans as she stepped out of bounds, so Brighton will have possession.
Another possession for Olympus where you're just not able to score points. At one point, it was 31-21, and Brighton has cut that deficit to 2 with their offense clicking right now.
Chin to Larson, and then Larson to Stevens. Larson passes it to Nielsen. She was open from beyond the arc. Chin is going to shoot the three, and that one is good. The Brighton Bengals have come all the way back to take the lead, 32-31.
Exactly what Olympus could not allow. You build such a big lead, and it just went away.
Johnson's three is no good, and O'Neal comes down with the rebound. Olympus really needs some type of spark on offense. They're just missing so many threes right now. Chin driving. She's going to pass it out to Nielsen. This three by Nielsen is no good, and Larson is able to save it into Olivia Stevens, so the Brighton gets a second chance. O'Neal has a mismatch inside, and her shot is good.
Olympus cannot give Brighton extra possessions like that, especially with the way the offense is playing. They're bound to score at one point.
Bontempo is double teamed. She passes out to Johnson. Johnson's three is up. That one is no good once again, and it's Nielsen bringing up the floor. She's going to try and go up against Grace Schwartz. She puts on the spin move and lays it up and in. So the Brighton Bengals are now on a 15-0 run and suddenly have a 5-point lead.
Olympus has got to get something going. They're getting the open looks from three. They just aren't able to make them, which are crucial as of now.
Johnson passes it to Baker. Baker's double teamed. And it looks like she's going to turn the ball over here, as that's going to be a jump ball. Exactly what the Titans couldn't do. And so Brighton gets another opportunity on offense.
For Olympus, you need to slow down this Brighton offense. They're a completely different offense from the first half. Only scoring 18 points in that first half, and they've already doubled that. And we're not even through the fourth quarter.
Stevens to Larson. Larson thought about the three, instead passes it to Nielsen. Nielsen to O'Neal. O'Neal's going to put up the mid-range shot. That one is good. It's now a 17-0 run for Brighton, and they're up by 7.
Olympus just has no answer on either side of the ball.
Cromar to Ava Jorgensen, who's in the game now. The three is no good, and Brighton with the rebound. And they're going to throw it up to Ruth Larson, who isn't able to lay it up and in, but O'Neal comes down with the rebound. And they're going to give the timeout to head coach Kate Stokes right before the Titans were able to steal the ball away. It's been quite remarkable how the game has switched from the end of that, really, I guess, the first few minutes of the third quarter to where we are now.
Yeah, because going into halftime, Olympus had all that momentum. They had the big lead. And in this third and fourth quarter, Brighton is just completely outperformed Olympus. They're making their shots, and they're doing great on the defensive side. They're on a 17-0 run, and Olympus just has no answer. They cannot stop the Brighton offense, and they just cannot make any shots on offense whatsoever. So they need to find consistency on both sides if they want to come back from the 7-point deficit to win this game.
And Olympus is... where does Olympus go on offense? Because every time Baker gets the ball, the Bengals are doubling her, and it's really a fight for her to even gain possession of the ball. So where do they go besides her?
In my opinion, you got to look to Tessa Cromar. She's already shown in this game that she can shoot the three well. She just hasn't found that really hot streak where she's making many of them. So if I'm Olympus, you got to get it to her and generate something going from the three-point line.
It's Chin. She passes out to Larson. This three is up, and it is no good. A little too long, and Baker with the rebound. Now she passes it to Cromar, and Cromar resets on offense for the Titans a little bit. She runs around the perimeter, tries to go into bond tempo, but that will be out of bounds off of Olympus.
You just cannot let that happen. We're under 5 minutes in the game, and you're down by 7. Your offense hasn't done anything as of recently, and if you want to win this game, you got to find some way to score some points.
Brighton passes it underneath to O'Neal. That layup is good. Their lead is up to 9. Tessa Cromar trying to move around the perimeter. They pass it to Hazen now. Cromar's open from 3. The Titans need this. That one is good. Big 3 from Tessa Cromar to cut the bleeding as Brighton's 19-0 run ends.
Exactly what I said you had to do. Cromar is one of the Titans' best three-point shooters when she's on fire, and you're going to need that, especially in these final 4 minutes.
Stevens is going to pull up from 3. That one is long. Cromar with the rebound. She now passes it to Joss Baker. Joss Baker's trying to go up with it. She isn't able to, and Stevens with the rebound. A little bit of a forced shot right there. Stevens finds Nielsen. They missed an open Lucy Chin, and O'Neal comes down with the rebound. She's going to shoot the 3. Chin is, and that one is good. Brighton responds with a 3 of their own as they finally find Lucy Chin open from 3.
Absolutely killer of all momentum that Olympus had. They finally score and cut the deficit to 3, but the Brighton offense is just too good with their 3 of their own.
Baker is fouled on her 2-point attempt, so she will be headed to the line.
The Brighton foul on the shot.
And she needs to make both of these free throws.
These free throws could be crucial. These are 2 easy points that you're leaving on the court if you're not able to make them.
First one for Baker is up. It is good. Brianna Kidiona checking in for the Titans for the first time tonight. On the year, she has 15 points and 16 rebounds. The second one is up, and it is no good. Killer for the Titans. Nielsen passes to Stevens, and she dribbles it off of her foot out of bounds. So that's a type of thing the Titans needed as Maddie Shimoda is checking in to the game.
Exactly what they needed. Have Brighton have a quick possession that ended in a turnover for the Titans. So now you got to score on this possession. There's only 3 minutes and 10 seconds left, and you got to score quickly.
For the Titans to really have an opportunity in this game, I think they have to get it within 5 before the 2-minute mark. And that'll be tipped out of bounds off of Ruth Larson. And so Ava Jorgensen will be inbounding right by the Olympus bench. Is Shimoda leading the offense for the Titans at point guard. They are trying to go inside to Baker. She spins around. Her shot does not get the lucky bounce in, and O'Neal comes down with the rebound.
I don't know why Joss Baker didn't pass it out to the corner with Tessa Cromar, who was wide open from 3, and would have been huge if she was able to pass it out to her and make that.
O'Neal finds Stevens, and Brighton slows it down a little bit on offense. They're trying to let the clock drain. Larson's shot is up. It is no good, and the Titans somehow get the ball, and Ava Jorgensen is going to lay it up and in as we have an injury, as Joss Baker is a little shaken up on the floor.
Play is paused for an injured play.
And that play from Joss Baker is really what we sort of see out of Patrick Mahomes. Multiple times in these playoffs, he has shown that he gets injured and is able to stay in the game like this, and it's crucial in key moments like this.
Nielsen passes to Lucy Chin. That 3 is no good. And Cromar comes down with the rebound. This is the opportunity for the Titans. Baker's going to lay it up, and it is no good. It bounces out.
You cannot have that happen. You have your best player open for a layup to cut the deficit to 4, and it's very killer she couldn't make it.
The layup by Nielsen is good. Right after he compared her to Patrick Mahomes, too.
Can't do that very often.
Shimoda leading the offense for the Titans. Cromar's going to put up a 3. That one is no good. Ruth Larson comes down with the rebound. And there is likely not enough time for the Titans to come back in this one. Larson's 3 is up. It is no good, and O'Neal comes down with the rebound. Her shot is up. It is no good, and we're now under 1 minute left in this game. Shimoda passes to Cromar. She's going to pull up from 3. That is an air ball, and Lucy Chin comes down with the rebound. Surprised the Titans aren't fouling yet, but I have to assume it's because they're not even close to the bonus yet. And they finally do start fouling. It's a little late, but
Yeah,
they finally get the foul in, I guess.
you're down by 8 points, and if you were going to foul, you had to have fouled really early in that possession, because you got to get into the bonus first before you're able to foul to win the game.
Nielsen's shot is no good. Baker brings it up the floor quickly. We're now under 20 seconds left in this one. Baker's going to go inside. Her layup is good, and Coach Hunsaker calls a quick timeout, likely to try and set up a full court press to get a steal.
You really need to have this full court press work out. If you're able to get a turnover and get a 3-pointer, then that can be huge. To only be down by 3 with, let's say, 7 or 8 seconds left, which you're able to force another turnover.
And unfortunately for the Titans, what they really need right now is for Brighton to be in the bonus, and they're still 3 or 4 fouls away from that. So it'll be a tall task for the Titans to try and come back in this one.
And in that, with the 9-point halftime lead, you really thought Olympus was going to keep fighting it the way that they were in that second quarter. They just have not done that at all in the second half. Brighton has taken advantage, and now are up by 6 with 15 seconds left.
And it's really the Brighton defense. I mentioned it earlier. Both of these offenses are pretty even. It's going to come down to which defense is better. And Brighton's defense really clamps down in the second half, leading to the 6-point lead.
And especially with locking down Joss Baker, who in that second quarter was unstoppable.
They get it into O'Neal, and she is quickly fouled by Cami Bontempo. There's 12.4 seconds left.
Titan foul called number 3, Cami Bontempo, her second personal foul. Second team foul.
And now we're going to do it again. The Titans looking to get some sort of steal. They get it into Olivia Stevens. That clock is going down now. We're now at 9.2 seconds left. This full court press isn't working for the Titans. Someone is open nearly every time.
And that really doesn't work out well for them. They had to get a steal on one of those first two. And now you're down by 6 with 9 seconds left. There really isn't much hope now.
This will be a tough one to swallow for the Titans as the opportunity presented itself. They were up by 11 early in the third quarter, and it's an unfortunate game for them where they were looking to try and get up to a winning record in region play.
This Olympus team looked incredible in that second quarter and like the first minute of that third quarter, but they just have not done anything since and blew that 11-point lead. And I think this says more about Brighton and how they're able to claw back at these deficits with how good their offense is, and especially their defense at locking down the opposing team's best players.
It's really been a defensive masterpiece for Brighton in the second half. First one is good by Nielsen. She makes the second one, and Brighton will be up to an 8-point lead. She is able to do so, and that'll pretty much do it tonight, as the Olympus Titans had an opportunity, but they ultimately fall to their rivals for the second time this year, 47-39.
Overall, for Brighton in this second half, they were excellent on both sides of the ball. They were locking down Olympus and their best players, and on offense, they finally hit their stride and was able to help them in coming back from that 11-point deficit. This is a tough loss to swallow if you're Olympus. You were up by 11 points in this third quarter, and you just couldn't finish the job. And it's not really great for them because they were looking to improve to a winning record in region play, but they're just going to have to move on to the next game.
And you can see they really wanted this one. They played a lot better than they did at Brighton. They didn't lose by 30, but this one probably stings a little bit more, the fact that they had an opportunity.
Yeah, especially in that loss against Brighton, they were down quick. They never really had a chance to come back. But in this game, you had the hope. You had the momentum to pull off the upset. They just weren't able to do so.
And so thank you all for watching another edition of Olympus Basketball on OlyTV. Brighton will have Friday off and then return home for a matchup against the Alta Hawks, who they beat earlier this year. The Titans will host the Hawks as well this next Friday, looking to avenge a really close road loss. We will have that game right here for you on OlyTV at 7 p.m. For the entire production crew and Mr. Miller,
I'm Miles Pierce.
And I'm Lucas Pierce. Have a great night, everyone.